Over the last 5 decades, what caused home price appreciation, HPA? What caused it to go up? What caused depreciation? And why was it flat? For how long? And what should we expect? Here's what you should understand. The first thing, most importantly, is that every downturn ends in recovery. For me, in the early days, 1991, that recession, we were saying survive until 95. Guess what? By the time we got to 95, the market started to recover. And then from 96 until call it the dot-com explosion of 2001 and really 9/11, we went on a massive run of recovery. Home prices skyrocketed, transactions went through the roof, agents made a fortune, and then two things happened and the market slowed again. But if you look most recently from say 2007 to 2009, during the global financial crisis, I think, especially for a lot of my crafty veterans that are 18 years, 20 years, 25 years, you and I both know there was probably a time during 7, 8, 9 that you were scratching your head saying, is this ever going to end? Is the world ever going to recover? I certainly had those same thoughts. And then by the time we got to 2010, if you really look at the data, builders basically slowed building to almost a standstill from 2008 to 2012. And by the time we got to 2012, the gluttony of extra homes available that investors didn't buy was gone. And from 2012 to 2019, we went on one of the craziest bull runs in real estate we've ever seen. And by the way, the number one thing that consumers said and agents complained about was there was no inventory. That was the complaint from 2012 to 2019. And you can argue we haven't stopped complaining about it. And depending upon where you are in the US, right, in two of the major metros or two of the major markets, if you just took north, south, east, west, in the north, specifically in the northeast, there is no inventory. A nice home comes on the market, they have 5, 6, 8, 10 offers. But if you go down to Florida or you go to a lot of the sand states, it's the opposite. So the thing I want to stress to you is we're going to see a recovery. It's going to happen sooner than you think. And many of the things we'll discuss today, if you pay attention and start to do them now, you're going to put yourself ahead of the curve versus how everybody else has a tendency to miss it and then have to chase. Now, very quickly, the next 3 or 4 should be obvious. Obviously, rates drive growth. And we saw a nice decrease in the rates today. I posted about it on my Instagram stories. It's not enough to get the millions of buyers that are on the sidelines to jump into the market, but it's getting close. It's getting really close. My prediction is we're going to get to 6.2, 6.3, and with buy downs and other ways to get properties sold and to help buyers, we could see rates in the high fives. And when the rates are in the high fives, the wheels come off. But there's a lot you have to do to be ready for that. Obviously, the third thing is the fundamentals today are phenomenal, because one of the things, of course, I looked at was how does this decade compare to the other 5 decades that we're analyzing? And what do we know? Equity is up through the roof. There's a small amount of mortgage debt. We have almost no foreclosures. The overall fundamentals are so in our favor that it almost doesn't make sense. And then, of course, demographics are on our side. Between the millennials, the Xers, and the boomers, there is so much opportunity and so many buyers and sellers that want to transact, but they're waiting, right? You're sensing it. I see the same. Now, the last one is, obviously, we don't have enough inventory. Builders can't build fast enough. Doesn't matter where you are. And the challenge we face is everybody wants to live in the major metros where there just is no space. That's not going to change. People are going to have to drive a little farther for new construction. It is what it is. They buy that first house, then they move in closer and closer to where they want to be. So that's the nutshell of what the last 5 decades revealed.